ragamuffin keeps striving in every way. International, what they call we international. When me ride palm rhythm in the move, but the rhythm when I come down crucial. And me ride palm rhythm and then we sit down steady. Body me on the place where they want Jamal skinny. Jump up on the rhythm, make we ride it right. Chat up on the mic and keep it international. Cause anytime we chop a mic, they call we give it a general. When me ride palm rhythm in the move, but the rhythm when I come down crucial. And me ride palm rhythm and then we sit down steady. Body me on the place where they want Jamal skinny.
Yes. What's up, producers? How we doing today? Let me know that you can hear me, and I'm coming to you in high fidelity sound. I've been seeing where everybody's tuning in from. I love to see it. We are global once again. Got Texas, Ecuador, DC, Sheffield, Manchester, Ireland, Nashville, Croutland, Columbus, Ohio, Austin, Texas, India, Morocco, Southern California. Drobert Baker, Austin, Texas. I'm going to be there soon. Coming down for South by Southwest. Looking forward to it. Sounds great. Oh, we can hear you. Nice. There was a little bit of a kerfuffle there last stream. 100% my fault. Looking to not repeat that. So I just wanted to come on before I bring on our guest today to make sure everything was sounding good to get going. Unity Gain sounds great. Love it. Music producers in the house. Yeah, I don't have a lot of announcements today. I just wanted to come on before I brought on Alex just to make sure, one, that the stream was running smoothly and just to say hi to everybody. Oh, jeez. All right, but listen, I'm just going to go ahead and bring on our guest today. This is AlexKid, and we're going to be talking about one of his plugins. So join me in welcoming Alex. Alex, how you doing?
Hello. Hey, hi everyone. I'm good. Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm very happy to be here.
Oh, we're very happy to have you, obviously. Very excited to chat with you today, talk about music production in general, but more specifically, SEQUND. Am I pronouncing it right? SEQUND, by the way?
There's no right or wrong way. I say second, but a lot of people call it SEQUND or SEQUND. There's no rule, actually. So, yeah.
Okay.
Call it however you want.
All right, cool. I was having you know Baptiste, right?
Yes, Baptiste.
Okay, we were having
a dear friend of mine.
Okay, because we were having a bit of a debate about it, so I wanted to make sure. I wanted to see what the person who developed it actually says. But before we actually jump in and check it out, why don't you let us know a little bit about yourself, maybe your role within the company, and a little bit about what we're going to be checking out here on stream today. Sound good?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so I don't know how to explain more or less briefly who I am. So I'm a producer, artist, DJ who has been, I've been producing electronic music for over 30 years now. I used to be releasing music on F Communications. That's what made me semi-famous within the scene, or at least acknowledged. Let's put it this way. I've released quite a few albums on F Communications and quite a few EPs. And then when F Communications stopped, I moved to Berlin and kept on releasing on various labels. So I'm quite a seasoned producer, which is the reason why I did these plugins and eventually SEQUND. It's because at some point I was finding that the stuff that I was doing was boring. So how did the whole thing happen? How did the company start? Actually, originally the company wasn't doing plugins. It was a booking agency. But things went a bit wrong, and I kept the company and I started releasing Max for Live patches. And they had a great response with the producers. So slowly, with iterations and all this, I decided that at some point I should be releasing a VST. But I have no clue on how to code with C++ and Juice. So I teamed with a great team of people, and one of them is Tadashi Suginomori, who runs HY plugins and does already sequencers. Great guy, great developer. And the other part of the team is Resonant Design, who are here in Berlin and do a great UX UI. So for SEQUND, actually, I didn't really do any code. It's more, I was more like doing the product management and designing the ideas. But the code was done by Tadashi, and this is pretty much how it happened. It's like
Nice.
a bit of a boutique story, starting with patches. A lot of people used the Max for Live devices, so there was like a bit of a proof of concept. A lot of people have been supporting from the very early inception of this venture, and that was quite fantastic. Well,
Love it. Well, I'm really looking forward to checking it out. Before we do, we will be running a giveaway as we normally do on the stream. There was a little bit of a kerfuffle last stream about that as well. I don't know how many we're going to give away. We're going to figure it out at the end of the stream. But to be entered to win, all you need to do is be active in the chat like normal. Ask us your questions. Fire off questions to Alex, just at Plugin Boutique. My friend Corey's helping me on the stream today. He'll send me those questions. We'll get them answered on the stream if we can. And with that, I think we can just go ahead and jump right into the demonstration, Alex, if that's all right with you.
Sure. So, I don't know where I'm going to start, what I'm going to start with. Maybe on the concepts and on the things that I used to like, that I like in sequencers. And the reason why I started doing these Max for Live sequencers, first of all, is because I like polyrhythms. And second, because I couldn't find anything that was actually what I was looking for. So I did study Max at IRCAM. I learned there from during a week-long workshop that initiated me to the mysteries of Max. It was very basic. But after spending time on it, the one thing that Max MSP taught me is that we often live within, a series of rules that have been decided for us. And Max, if you dive into this, can somehow liberate you from those rules. One thing that is always frustrating to me when you work with any DAW is that you have when you actually write a rhythm, you also write the notes. Like you put a note here and you put a note at this pitch, and you write at the same time within a clip. You write the temporality of it and the pitch value. So that was a bit frustrating. Plus, if you want to work with polyrhythms, you cannot define a length per element. It has to be already within the clip. If I go into a clip here in Ableton and I select a clip, if I want to do a polyrhythm, of course I can, but my notes will always fall the same way within that polyrhythm. So that's something that I wanted to get out from.
Okay.
And this is why I designed these the Max for Live patches first, and then eventually second, like this. Each line is independent in its length and in its play mode. So as you can see here, you can define the length of the whole sequence. We have 16 steps. We can select the clock division here. But if I were to do this, it would be the same thing as changing the length here. You change the whole thing. If you had an automation, it would be also in the amount of steps that you would define within your clip, unless of course you unlink, but that makes it a bit complicated and it's not very friendly visually. And I wanted to have something very, very simple. It's almost like something you want to be able to define mathematically, or just define verbally, saying, hey, I want something that rolls in 5 on the rhythm, but then the notes are on 6 or 7 or whichever length you want to choose. And one of the main features, I believe, is the fact that you can really define on one side the rhythm and on the other side the melody. All of them you can define a play mode, so forwards, backwards, pendulum with repetition, 2 types of random, one possibly repeating the last note that has been played, one without the possibility of repeating the last note that has been played. So
hey Alex, you think you wanna let us kind of hear it in action while you're going through some things?
Let's go for something very simple from the beginning.
All right.
Okay, I'm going to reset this. Ops, new preset.
And also, just to be clear, some people were wondering in the chat, this is not a Max for Live device. This is a VST that was built on Max, or?
It's based on my Max for Live designs.
Got it. But this can be installed and used anywhere. It doesn't need Max for Live.
Any DAW that accepts AU and VST or VST3 can run these. So Perfect. Pretty much everything. Not Pro Tools because it's not AAX. Okay. But all the major DAWs can run Second.
Nice.
So in order to have a very simple interface, we can add and take out the elements that we want. But let's first write a rhythm. So let's go straight away into a polyrhythm. Let's do something in 7. So I have routed the sequencer into a synth here that is in this channel. So here I have simply an operator. I take the MIDI from Second, define Second here again. I put it in monitor in. Let's go back. So right now we're going to have a rhythm. I'm going to put a kick drum that I already have programmed. Is everyone hearing this properly?
Yeah, let us know in the chat if you can hear it and it sounds good. Sounds good to me.
If I had the full length. Let's write all the steps. We could have something like this. I don't know. Let's write more something in the beginning. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just create a polyrhythm just on the rhythm. The pitch melody will still remain in 16 steps. So now if I were to do something like this, So now we have a different perception, even though it's exactly the same melody. If we were to record this, we would see that the same notes fall into the same place every time. So that's a bit ugly. So what we're going to do is that we're going to select a scale. We can force scales. It's exactly the same scales that are included in Ableton or in Push. So that makes it very easy to integrate or to work with, you know. You can select, let's say, minor blues, something simple. Let's randomize here. We want to have a pattern that maybe repeats a little bit more frequently. So I'm gonna also change the length on the pitch melody. So we can hear already that there's like something that repeats. If we wanted to program this in Ableton, we probably could, but it would be a nightmare. So already just with those two elements and just changing the length, we already have something that has sort of an evolution. It's polymeter, and there's already a bit more life into it. Now we could add hold notes, which is basically the same thing as in a 303 as having a slide. What it will do is that it will hold the note and it will overlap until the next one. So if you have a monophonic with a portamento, it will create the glide effect. So but now, as you can see here, I've got two pitch lines. And that's, again, one of the peculiarities of the sequencer. Instead of just having one melody line, we have two. And we have a probability lane that allows us to basically switch from one to the other. So if it's pointing towards the top, you get the orange lane. If you could also point towards the bottom, and you would have just the bottom. So now we could imagine like we've got something that we create like a rhythm like this. It's a bit monotone. It remains on this note, and like which is actually it's we can see here when I hover on the cells, there's a value here that appears. We can see that we're in C1, and I'm gonna say that at the end of the bar, I'm gonna play the top lane. So just when it reaches the end of the bar, I will play the notes that happen on the top line. You can put notes here and there just to create like some sort of rhythm, something a bit more rhythmic. We can also decide that it's going to be a probability. We can say, hey, you know what? Actually, I want something a bit in between. Now I'm forcing, but sometimes in these positions, it plays the top or it plays the bottom. So you can do really things that are like a bit more random and lively and more human. You know, you can create or force events or just let them to the chance. Speaking of chance, we can also have a chance of play. We can say, hey, here I'm gonna have a chance of not playing. So 100% always plays, 0 doesn't play, and in between, well, you can make the maths. We can also define the length per step, so we can write to have something a bit more funky. And again, all those lanes you can totally change. You can change the length, so you can create all those variations that are a bit more random. So we could also very easily enable the velocity. If any value is assigned to the velocity apart from the volume, you're going to hear variation. In this case, if you look on my operator, if I select the first operator, the velocity here is at 0, so it doesn't affect the volume of the first operator, but it does affect the volume of the second operator. Therefore, if I change the velocity here, I'm gonna have some sort of variations.
That's just going to affect the second.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because the velocity is just assigned to the second operator. So again, I'm just playing forward, but I could decide here that I'm just like playing random. So it would just really pick one of those notes in a total random manner. We can also decide to change the octaves. Like maybe I'm gonna say every 3 steps, you play an octave up. And every time that I open one of these lanes, you can see that they disappear from the main panel, from the global settings. So if I take off the octave, you can see that the octave now is available, and I could totally pitch.
Would that be a global then?
Yeah, that's in the global. But when I enable the lane, it disappears.
Oh, that's super cool.
Now this overrides the value that is here. Same thing for velocity, now it's grayed out. Same thing for the length. Length that is here now overrides. So if you disable those lanes, you can still access the general value by just clicking by just changing the value on the global settings. So, I think that this is pretty clear, like more or less the concept of the polyrhythm. If anyone has any question, more than welcome.
Yeah, I think we could. We'll get to some questions if you want to pause it for a sec.
Of course, on the side, we can totally randomize those values. I can say, okay, can change those values. I can copy the pattern, and then I could paste it in the second one. No, it didn't work. Paste, yeah. So I can paste it and just make variations and change something, and I can call the patterns and just by simply punching them in, it's like really, even if they're polyrhythms, it will punch in at the position that it should have been if it had started from the beginning. It doesn't re-trigger the pattern. So again, you have all those evolutions that are being kept in the right timing according to your position in the DAW, which means that you could totally overdub, punch in if you wanted to change something in your sequence, because of course you can record in Ableton those notes if you want to edit or anything. If you're in Logic, you can simply export. You can define the length, and you just click there and then export the clip. It works also in Ableton right now. If I wanted to do this, I would just define a length, press here. You can see that my cross is enabled, and I can just take and just drop the clip. You can see that all my sequence is there on 2 bars. So of course, it's better to work on longer bars if you use polyrhythms, because then you really keep the motion and the movement. Okay, one other feature that I absolutely love is the fact that you can transpose. You can define the transpose before or after scale. So if you go after scale, it's just a normal transpose. It's just like if I play a C and I just transpose 1, it's gonna play a C sharp. But if I transpose before scale, what's gonna happen is that if I'm in a C minor blues, let's say, and I transpose of 1, it's gonna transpose to the next note within the scale. So in this case, it would be a D sharp or an E flat. So here we have So because this is fun, I decided that something that would be really cool would be to be able to transpose this in a live situation. So when you click on this button, C1, C3, what it does is that it gives you +12 and -12. You can access all these values directly from the keyboard. So if I create a clip here in the second lane, let's just close these for the moment.
What's the MIDI you're using to trigger it right now? Or
sorry?
No, I guess it's generating the MIDI. Okay, never mind. I'm just trying to keep up here. Make sure.
Okay, so I said that from C1 to C3, it's my transpose. Those are my transpose values on the keyboard. So C2 will be my 0. So I'm going to define the 0 here. I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to make a loop on 4 bars. And let's do +1, +4, +3. I don't know. I'm just playing things in a very random way. And let's see what happens. You can see that the values are changing because it's receiving MIDI from the clip. And this is something that I could be doing live directly on the keyboard. So I'm in C minor blues. If I want to play chords that work with it, we're going to have something that changes by itself, that has this polyrhythm that becomes quite lively. And we can keep a structure with the chords, or just with the transposition that is a bit more classic, like it changes every 4 bars, you know? So now. Okay, you see, it's just I'm playing just random stuff. But you can see how just having those transpositions can create like something really, really, really cool really quickly. I didn't do anything complicated, actually. I could just totally randomize everything. Like now I'm selecting pattern 1, and you can see that it's again being transposed. Let's put add some swing.
I love how non-repetitive it feels.
Yeah, but at the same time, the interesting thing is that the brain totally understands that there's a pattern, that something is going on that makes sense. And this is what I like, because tell you the truth, I'm lazy. Lazy.
Same. Facts.
And every time I was making music, I was like, I'm always doing the same things. I need something that thinks the way I think, and I would like to be able to do like all these little changes and all these by itself without having to program them really. Or you can program them here, but it's not as complicated as trying to do this within the AW. Even with the modular system, it would be complicated because often again they have the gate linked to the note, and you would need like 2 different sequencers, one to generate the gate and another one to generate the notes.
Nice.
In regards to this MIDI thing, you can see that we have exactly the same thing on the pattern side, on the pattern dialog. If I click here, what I'm going to be able to do is I'm going to be able to call the patterns directly from the MIDI keyboard, from the same clip actually. So let's go a bit crazy. I'm going to copy this one and I'm going to go here. I'm going to paste it. And actually, I'm gonna change a few things. I'm gonna take out the slides. I'm gonna make it very staccato. I'm gonna put the chance to the max. Pitch A, I'm gonna randomize, and I'm gonna go 2 octaves above. So as you can see, it's totally, I didn't listen to what I did, or to what I'm doing. I just decided, it's probably gonna be okay. I'm just doing it randomly. Now what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna go in the clip. I'm gonna close this so I can see. And let's close this window. And I'm gonna duplicate, I'm gonna extend this sequence that does the pitch changes. And I'm gonna call the patterns also from C0 to B0. So I'm gonna, if we know that C is gonna be the first one, and I'm gonna say that, okay, at the end, bar 4 is gonna be second pattern, then bar 5, I'm gonna go back to the first pattern. And then on D0, I'm gonna go to the third pattern. So let's play and see what happens. And let's look at the same time. Let's go with the key. You can see that it's changing. And now it's going to switch to 3.
That's awesome. Should you have... Why would you need the scale lock on there?
Okay, the scale lock is, let's imagine you're working on one of your tracks. And you want to try different things from from presets that you already worked on. So if you have defined, that your track right now is in C minor blues, those are your notes. If you go to another preset, it will still keep the C minor blues instead of assigning the key scale, the root key and the scale that is saved with the preset. Scale lock overrides and keeps your current scale that you're working with whilst changing presets. So you could scroll here by, just clicking on the different presets, and you would still keep something that fits to your song.
Got it. Alex, do you want to bang out some questions here?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. A few questions. The questions that come out each and every stream, and that's the question of the CPU usage. It looks pretty light, though. I mean, you've got operator running and then this running, and it's hitting 12%. So I think. Yeah,
and I've got Massive and a Roland plugin also, and you know that the Roland plugins are very, very. Yep. I'm not saying it.
Yeah, so it's really good on the CPU, I think, is what we can get from that.
Yeah, it's light. It's MIDI. It doesn't generate sound per se, so it's very, very light when it comes to the CPU.
There's a few questions, even though you've already gone through it, there's a few questions from a few different users about getting the MIDI out. Can you perhaps just go through maybe the export down there at the bottom right, and also can you just record the MIDI out into your DAW as well?
Actually, let's record this sequence. We know that we've got something that is on 8 bars, but because there's a polyrhythm, we're going to maybe record it on a longer length. So I can close this right now. We know that we have it on this channel. So I'm going to erase this. Right now, I'm receiving, as you can see, MIDI from SEQUND. And, I just need to press record here and 3, 4. So we've got our 8 bars. We're going to leave it to 16.
So glorious. It even looks nice.
and stop. So now I'm stopping this. I can disable second. Actually, I can put it off here from the listening, from the monitoring, and now the operator is gonna play what's in the clip as any normal programming would happen. That's simple.
Hey, Alex.
So, yeah.
I've just been reminded. Is this currently on promotion right now on Plugin Boutique?
Correct. It's for the next almost 2 weeks. I think it's until the 12th. It's on promotion.
Flash sale. Go check it.
Yes.
Links are in the description. Links been posted in the chat. You got to check it out. It's also available in Bitport Studio, right?
Correct. That's one of the new things in the update. It's available if you want to try it in Bitport Studio. You want to have it for a month. You want to work with it. Yeah, you can have it in Bitport Studio.
And you can actually get a free Bitport Studio trial just to check it out. So Connor, please throw a link to Bitport Studio in the chat. We got links to SEQUND in the chat. Click all the links, my friends. If you like what you see, you like what you hear, you should check it out for sure.
Also, just to show quickly here, if you force the scale, if I select the scale and I'm in C minor blues, are you going to see minor blues? No. Yeah, C minor blues, correct. And I correct the scale, you can see that all the notes are within the scale. So it's really integrated, so you can work with Ableton. I mean, those are normal scales. It's nothing special, but they're linked to the ones that are available in Ableton.
Love that. Some other questions here, if you want.
Yeah.
Can this control hardware?
Yes, it can do great with hardware. And actually, this is something we haven't looked at, but we also have MIDI continuous controllers. So we've got 3 lanes that you can use. I'm going to switch from operator and I'm going to go to a 303. I'm going to erase this clip. I'm going to switch here. I've got a TB303 from the Roland Cloud. And if you hover and you right click, you can see that you can see what are the CC values to control those parameters. So I've got 74. I assume that this is 75. Now it's 71. So we're gonna control 73. No, what did I say? 74 and 71. So right now I'm gonna select 74.
Are you able to double click and input a value, or do you gotta?
No, it's a slider.
Okay.
It's a slider. I know it's a bit annoying, but the panel was massive and I decided for the slider because I felt it was a bit, well, again, sometimes it's a bit tedious depending on your mouse setting. But yeah, it's nothing that is impossible to deal with. And I'm going to randomize this. Actually, this is a very interesting function. I'm going to explain why. Because right now I put values, they're absolutely random and they go from high value to really low value. And maybe this is something that doesn't always work very well. So if I press play here, if we look, we can see that, the variations are too radical. So here I actually have attenuators. Actually, we need to also create variations on the other clips. let's randomize here, and on the third clip, we're going to randomize also. And I can define a range actually of play of those values. So instead of going from 0 to 127, it's going to go from, let's say, I want to go from 63 to 90 something. So the range is going to be much shorter and therefore more musical. You can totally adjust this very easily. You see, it's just defining the range. Same thing. No, let's leave the resonance pretty wild and see what happens. So now I'm going to press play. You can see that the range here has been reduced and oscillates indeed between 60 to 90 something. But I could also do the same thing with the resonance. I could say, oh, you know what, actually, let's reduce this. I'm going to go to a value that goes from, let's say, 75, something like this, to 88. It remains, of course, this value remains for all the patterns. This
like
is applied to the
global
lane.
control.
Yeah, it's a global control. So now I'm going to press play. And you can see that it's less wild. You can hear that, it's a bit more elegant. Yet, all those little movements create a lot of humanization, a lot of non-linearity that even if you use a loop, even if you use a pattern, that will bring you like a lot of life and it will not make your sequence boring. This is the big problem that we have with digital, is that everything is so tight that the brain really quickly realizes that, yeah, okay, I heard this before, and it becomes a bit boring. So if you add like these little polyrhythms on I don't know, the filter or something, it can create something very friendly really quickly. And it's
Ear candy all day.
Exactly. Again, as I was saying, I'm lazy. I didn't do anything really complicated here. It's just having fun, just playing around, defining things. And if it's not good, you just switch back. I could actually. That's one of the new functions of version 1.5 is the fact that if you switch to Chromatic, because right now, of course, my notes are in tune. Let's actually just disable this the change of patterns and the change of transpose. Let's press just play like this. Oops. Okay, so we've got a pattern that moves like this. But every time I'm going to move the pitch, I know that I'm going to be necessarily falling within the notes that are in the scale. What if I wanted to have this sequence, but maybe also have a half a tone here and there? So if you switch to Chromatic, it will actually keep the notes. So you're going to see that all these levels are going to adjust to fit the same melody within a chromatic scale. So it just moved slightly and is the same sequence. So this is a little detail, but it was a nightmare to program. And Tadashi eventually managed and did a great job to make it work exactly like we wanted. So it's when you need it, it's quite convenient. So now you've got access to all the notes in the scale. So something that people have been complaining, but it's because they didn't really pay attention to the manual, RTFM, is that, you only have the values when you change the values, but it's not true. When you hover, you can see that at the bottom left, my values are written. So this is for everything, So you can see.
Yeah, that's pretty standard. I'm surprised people haven't spotted that.
Yeah, I don't know. But yes, Some people would like to see the value all the time, but I felt it was a bit busy.
I like it. I like it like this. I mean, for a lot of it, you kind of don't want to know what the value is. You just want to hear what it's doing, right? Like I don't you get lost in the texture as opposed to numbers.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's you become too self-conscious of like, oh, what is happening? I think that when you play around with the colors and just like draw things, you know, you can do like, okay, I'm gonna do something like this. And you can force the scale straight away after if you want, you know. Can define, now it's in minor scale. You can also edit your scales if you just want to have, you want just 2 notes, you can. As soon as you hit the notes of a scale that already exists, it will show.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's quite convenient. Another thing now that is new from version 1.5 is the fact that you can click here and lock the cells. So now you see that every time I hover lane, we've got like little dots. So if this allows me to lock certain things, and let's say now I could randomize, and only the notes that have not been locked will be randomized. Same thing with the reset. It somehow mutes the random and the reset, makes it invisible to the reset and to the randomize. You've got a density, so if you want to randomize just a little bit, you know, I'm clicking and I'm barely changing. I'm gonna reset all the locks. I'm gonna reset everything. You're gonna see now if I randomize with a very small value, it's just after clicking a few times that I'm really getting changes. So less randomization. That's working with pretty much everything. So yeah,
I'd just like to say, Alex, that I love the colors. I love the color palette. I love the design. I love, I think you said it kind of earlier where, I mean, it feels random, but it still feels musical. Like it doesn't feel random in the sense that I don't understand what's happening. It's a really good type of, I would say, maybe controlled randomness. What I meant is less repetitive than what you would expect from, what you were saying, just a normal step sequencer. So I think you've really hit it out of the park. I would love to see the Max for Live patch that this is based on, if it's anything close to this intense.
It's not as cute. It's not as cute.
Well, no, I bet the innards of it are just a masterpiece of wiring.
Yeah, it scales. It's like my brain. It's all over the place. But something that I really wanted for the interface actually is like to be really, really friendly. I think something that bugs me is every time that I open a plugin and that there's like a jumbo jet cabin cockpit, there with like everything is there. Everything is just like, whoa. I'm a big fan of just the right values, just the right things, making choices, and as much as possible have functions that are musical. Of course, it's software, so anything can be done. A lot of people tell me, it would have been great with 32 steps. But the problem with 32 steps is that when you start using polymeters and polyrhythms and randomization, the length doesn't allow your brain to understand that there's a pattern and starts sounding just like totally random.
Yeah, too long. It's too long for what you're trying to do.
Too long.
The fact that you've made certain things shorter makes it longer. I mean, that just makes sense. Exactly. Yeah.
It's the multiplication of the amount of steps per lane will define how many steps it takes to reset or to have exactly the same pattern. So Another thing now that's in version 1.5 that is actually, let's just like do a new preset.
That was a question, Alex, if you want to touch on it while we're talking about presets. Are there presets that come? Maybe something that works well with a lead or a bass or anything like that? Or
I'm lucky enough to know a lot of people within the music industry, and after 30 years of being part of it, and of course I've managed to ask like really nice artists. You can see that's a list of artists who have participated in doing presets. There's a little bit of everything, different genres.
Do each one of those artists then have their own folder of presets?
No, it's just one preset.
Okay.
So sometimes it's just like one cell, sometimes it's 12.
Run that Josh Wink. Go ahead.
Let's do it with acid. We've got the acid sound. Let's do it. It is Josh Wink. And as Josh says, never the sawtooth, always the square.
I mean, words to live by.
So yeah, there's a lot of things that you can start with. You've got like a lot of factory presets. Actually, I'm gonna use the same pattern from Josh, and add like a ratchet. So ratchet basically allows you to subdivide and repeat one of the cells. So if it hits a note, right now if I've got 4 cells, or let's do 2, I'm gonna have a subdivision in there. It's not perfect with a 303. It's probably not the best. Let's actually do it with I'm gonna do it with the operator. We're gonna hear this better. So you hear that kind of roll. That's the ratchet. So I'm gonna reset the whole thing. It's gonna be easier to show. Like this ratchet, and I'm gonna do, I don't know, 2, 3, 2, 4, actually 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, and I'm actually gonna repeat this. Not here.
Patty Freethinker, is that a raving penguin that you've just posted in there? Is that a penguin with a whistle? Go ahead, Al. I'm just looking at That's totally
so, you can
penguin.
create like acceleration effects. Or I don't know if people are familiar with Gabriel Ananda's Doppelwhipper. And what was the pattern? I think it was it's in 3, and I think that there's 1, so this should stay in 6, and yeah.
Okay, on the gate there, are you?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
I'm in 3. I'm just playing 1 note out of 3 right now.
Okay. Well, okay. If they're completely kind of obscured, there's nothing happening. Okay.
Correct.
There aren't like multiple states of velocity. It's just if it's on or off, and then if it's completely dark, it's because it's outside of the loop length.
Yeah, because gate, yeah, exactly. Those are out of the range. So you see that there's like a little triangle here that defines the length. Everything that is lit will be activated. Of course, I don't have notes, so right now I'm playing 1, so I'm playing 1 note out of 3. I could even extend this, let's say 9, and maybe I could do a repetition in 3 here. So you can see what is happening. the first note hits here. I've got two notes playing at two subdivisions, then only one, which is the normal gate, and then three again, because every time I'm playing a note every three. So I know how to do this because I think like that, but I don't think this is the right way of using it. The right way of using it is just like really just randomizing stuff and defining, like just a little thing here and just see what happens. And then I could say that sometimes it would go to the line below. Now I'm going to make this a polyrhythm. And sometimes it's going to change note. And
I'm sold.
Scale,
I'm 100% sold. You got to have, I feel like you have the glide on it. Just
yeah, let's put the glide.
Yeah.
Same thing, random. Maybe that's too much.
Yeah, I mean, for people, I mean, we're just using some pretty basic sounds right now, man. Once you get in and start using your favorite patch with it, it's really going to...
Totally.
Yeah. So...
same thing, let's now do this in 5, like the velocity that now is assigned to the second oscillator because we're using a gain operator. Let's see what happens.
Oh yeah, you throw some reverb on that, you throw a hard techno drum pattern there, and we're in business. Hey. For real. That's wild.
Because we're in 3 and this is a dotted... let's play something else. Let's put a 2 and a 1.
Gnarly.
Yeah. It's endless. I mean, it's endless. And again, the whole point is to have fun. I just did this, but I could just say, okay, you know what? Let's just do that and see what happens. And if you want to change scale, let's try Phrygian dominant. Well, actually, it's pretty much... Oh, I like that. So if I put a clip here, select C, Phrygian dominant, and I start extending the length.
Oh, so there's quite a few bits there that...
Sorry?
There's a lot of great random stuff happening right there. Sounded great.
And it's so easy. It's so easy. Okay, so now I'm putting a chord. I'm gonna just...
While you're doing that, audio or audible video is wondering if you have your notes locked and you switch scales, are the notes still brute forced or did they retain their previous scale?
Sorry, if I switch...
So you can lock stuff down if you... Yeah,
if I change the scale, it will force all the notes within the new scale.
Into the new scale.
Yeah,
okay.
You cannot have a scale here and a scale below. It's the same scale. They share the same scale.
Okay.
I mean, it is possible to do it, but I felt that it's just like a function that no one is going to ask for and that eventually can create more error and non-musicality over making something musical. A lot of the things are choices because, of course, it's a plugin. You can do pretty much anything you want.
Cool. Were you going to show us something else, sir?
No. I think that most of the things you see, like right now, because I've got different lengths and I try to change the general length, it asks me, okay, do you want to change all lanes? That's something new in version 1.5. I'm going to say yes, and now I can actually change the length of all of them at the same time. So this would be more like a traditional way of doing a polyrhythm where the notes are linked to the melody. But I don't think it is as much fun personally. You want to have a bit of change.
Yeah, that with a really gnarly bass patch would be setting things off.
Yeah, I mean, it really makes you think in a different way, and this is really something I was going for. Is just like really put you a little bit out of your comfort zone. Use polyrhythms because it becomes a bit more interesting somehow, but without going into anything that is just like weird and impossible to use. The whole purpose of it is to really remain musical and have fun. I mean, the interface is like candy colored, you know. Mm-hmm. I really wanted something non-threatening and fun to use, you know.
Okay, yeah, cool. Well, thanks a lot, Alex, for coming through. You've piqued my interest. I'm definitely going to grab a copy and get into it. I want to throw all sorts of gnarly bass lines at it and see what I come up with.
I want to hear that.
Yeah, I'll play it for everybody. Well, you know, music producers, they don't stop playing their music for everybody. We're gonna give away 3 copies. You were so gracious to allow us to do that, and people have been super nice and active in the chat, and that's how we do it here. So let me just check my names over here. 6 solid names. Now, I've got 6 solid names, and I need you to pick your favorite 3 numbers between 1 and 6, and those 3 people will win a copy of SEQUND.
Oh, so I have to pick numbers?
Yes, you do.
Okay, I'll do 1, 2, and 4.
1, 2. All right. We got our winners. If I call your name, congratulations. Alex has hooked you up a copy of SEQUND. I'm going to stop saying SEQUND. SEQUND. And email support@Plugin Boutique with your name, what you've won, and a screenshot of you logged into that account so we know it's you, and we'll get you a copy as soon as humanly possible. The winners of today's stream are Clark Parker, Kimchi Bagels, phenomenal username.
I love that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so jealous. Mine's Joshua Casper. It's so Kimchi Bagels. And then Jeremy Baker. Congratulations.
Congrats. Thanks for joining.
Again, that's Clark Parker, Kimchi Bagels, and Jeremy Baker. Congratulations. Say thank you to Alex. I'll say it here for everybody. Alex, thank you so much for coming by and not only allowing us to hook 3 people up with a copy of this incredible plugin, but really being inspiring. My
pleasure.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I can't wait to, I'm really excited to get my hands on this and use it. So you've done well to make the plugin, and you've done well to inspire us to use it today. So thank you so much for coming through. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. I'm Joshua Casper with Plugin Boutique. That's Alex, and we will see you in the next stream.
keep on rising to the top. Ragamuffin keeps striving in every way. Hey, why? International, what they call we international. When me ride palm rhythm in the move, but the rhythm and I come down crucial. And me ride palm rhythm and then we sit down steady. Fatty me on the place, I with the one Jamalski. We are the general. We sit up on the rhythm and over the mic incredible. I'll be right palm rhythm and I move with the rhythm. I sit down steady. Every ragamuffin you do, I feel rock and follow me. You know you love her for your life. Make we jump up on the rhythm, make we ride it right. We chat up on the mic and keep it international. Cause anytime we chop a mic, they call we give it a general. International, what they call we international. When me ride palm rhythm and I move with the rhythm and I come down crucial. And me ride palm rhythm and then we sit down steady. Fatty me on the place, I with the one Jamalski.